All right. Welcome to another version of this iBUG's Life, where every fourth Thursday we come together to discuss things that you can do at home, repairs, make dishes, whatever the case may be, whatever type of we pick, and how you can do it using non-visual alternative techniques. And before we get started, what's going to take place on this particular week, I'm sure some of you or most of you may have read the announcement. And before we even get started with any introductions, which is another things that we customarily do, we would like to start off to give everybody an update with events that are going to be taking place in the upcoming few days. So with the announcements, I'm going to turn it over briefly to the iBug guy to go over those announcements. Michael?
All right. Thanks, George. Yeah, we've got pretty busy here in the coming week. Starting tomorrow evening, our regular iBug Night at the Virtual Movies. That starts at 7:15 p.m. Central Time for the pre-movie social. And we have some song games and jokes and other fun stuffs. And then we'll start the movie up around 8 p.m. And immediately following the movie, we have a discussion and trivia. So we'd love for you to join us right here on this same Zoom channel. Then we move over to Saturday, the 28th September at 2 p.m. Central. It is our monthly iBug Apple Workshop, and there we'll be talking all things Apple. And as you probably know, there was a big Apple event back on September 9th, so we'll be primarily talking about some of the hardware that was introduced, the new hardware that's come out, iPhones and Apple Watches and AirPods, the newest versions of those. We'll be talking about those, and we probably will have another app demo if time allows. So again, that's 2 p.m. Central on Saturday, the 28th. Then Monday night, we have iBug Buzz. That's our regular Q&A help session for anyone with iOS-related questions. That's 7 p.m. Central for that meeting. Tuesday, 5 p.m. Central, we have Mac Buzz. That's a shortened 1-hour Q&A help session for people with Mac questions, issues. Then on Thursday, next Thursday, we have our iBug Trekkie Talk at 8 p.m. Central. And there will be discussing Deep Space Nine Season 2. I believe they're on episodes 6 and 7. So if you want to pre-watch those and then come together and discuss those at that meeting next Thursday, the 3rd of October. Wow, we're already rolling into October here. So that's what's coming up on the lineup for iBug in the coming week. So please join us for any and all of those. We'd love to see you there. All right, back to you, George.
All right. Thank you, Michael. Thank you for providing us with those announcements and some of the upcoming events that's taking place with iBug. So iBug is always have lots going on. Okay, so what we would like to do now is, as everybody are chiming in, I would like you to come off mute if you're muted and let us know where you're calling from. Give us your name and the city and state or country that you're calling from. And have you ever made your own pizza before? That's the 3 questions. I want your name, city and state or country that you're calling from, And yes or no if you ever have made pizza before. My name is George. I probably didn't introduce myself, even though I said my name. I'm in Houston. And the first time I will say I ever have made a homemade pizza, it was an assignment. That's what made me come up with this particular topic. I was actually in 10th grade. It was a home economics project. It was about a couple of years ago. And it took me about 2 class periods to get it done. And so that was quite a while back. So that's me. And who's next? Come off mute, say your name, city and state or country that you're calling from. And if you have you ever made a pizza before?
This is Ed from Georgetown, Ontario, and no, I haven't, but I've eaten a few.
Okay. I'm sure you won't be alone in that particular category. Anybody else?
Hi, this is Ethel Miranda. I'm in San Diego, California, and I have made it, but it's been many years when the kids were young. Not very discerning. I think I just did some pizza sauce and don't even know what I made for the crust. Threw on some store-bought pepperonis, and they loved it, but I'm hoping I get a really good recipe now.
Gotcha. Okay. Welcome, Ethel. Thanks for coming in. Who's next?
This is Janice from Maryland. I think I have. It's been many years. I think I had a kit, that came with the mozzarella and the pepperoni and the tomato paste. But it's been many years.
What's your favorite topping?
Well, when I made it myself, my favorite was just the pepperoni. But normally, when I go out, I get sausage and mushroom and spinach.
Okay. Since I added in that particular topic, just to be fair, Ethel, what's your favorite topping?
This is Vincent.
1 second, Vincent. Ethel, are you still there? She went back on mute.
Yes,
Okay.
now I'm here. I'm sorry, I had to unmute.
Okay. What's your favorite topping?
Oh, wow. I would like the one with the pineapple. What is that? Hawaiian.
Hawaiian. I got you.
I love that. Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Vincent.
This is Vincent from New Jersey with best wishes for Sandia. Miss her.
Thank you
very much. And I have made sort of well, it's not really a pizza because I actually used a flour tortilla and I just, pile things on top of that. So I really have never made pizza, but still, for whenever I have pizza, my favorite topping is mushrooms.
Mushrooms. Gotcha. Okay. Welcome, Vincent.
Thank you.
This is Innie.
Annie?
Innie. Yes. INNY. Hi. I'm from Iowa, and I had made different kind of pizzas, but it's not the traditional one. When my girls were young, we used to always make dessert apple pizzas, which is, the small with apples and cheese and brown sugar. They just loved it. And then sometime I made use Italian bread for crust and make that, for pizza. And I like all toppings, and I love all the vegetables and all the meat, even the anchovies.
Okay. You're easy to please when it comes to pizza.
Thank you.
All right.
This is Pete.
Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, George, how you doing?
Awesome.
I'm like you. I made a pizza when I was in home economics class, but I was in 5th grade. And I just remember, putting some cheese and some sauce and some toppings on. But more recently, my wife and I would do it when my kids were young, and we'd make our own personalized pizza. Each of us would. And I'm trying to think. The name of the crust was something we would purchase at the grocery store. Was it a bolo? Is that the name of it? It's kind of a pre-made crust. You could buy it in a bag of about, half a dozen
I think it was
pizza crusts.
Boboli, Pete.
Say again? Boboli, right. That's right, yeah. And we'd put our own sauce and, and cheese and all the toppings on there. And I particularly like sausage and pepperoni, but I also love pineapple. And some of the true pizza lovers are not big pineapple fans, but I love pineapple.
All right, thank you. All right, who's next?
This is Dan from Southern California, and yes, I have made my own pizza.
What's your favorite topping?
Well, when we did it, we just used pepperoni, but if I, buy a pizza from someplace and I want to add all the other stuff, pepperoni, bacon, everything except anchovies and pineapple, I don't do those.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? Wants to introduce yourself? We're in introductions right now.
Hi, this is HL from Chicago. I made a pizza in class, but I was an adult. We're in a program, and we made French bread pizza. And at that time, my favorite topping was pepperoni. Now I like spinach and artichoke.
Well, how are you going to be in Chicago and don't make a Chicago-style pizza?
Yeah.
I can go to the pizzeria. That's why I get
I'm sorry. I could not let that slide. Okay, welcome. Anybody else want to introduce themselves? Say your name, city and state or country that you're calling from.
Cynthia.
And, hey, Cynthia.
Houston, Texas. A few years ago, yes, I was making pizza from scratch, made the crust from scratch and then put the sauces on and pepperoni, mushrooms, and I like pepperoni, mushrooms, and black olives.
Okay, pretty good. And welcome, Cynthia. Man, we have a lot of people here. Well, it may not be new to iBUG, but they're new to me. I got a few of you guys I had never heard before. So welcome. Pleasure to meet all of you. All right, who's next to introduce themselves?
Jody in New Hampshire.
Jody in New Hampshire.
Yeah, hi George. I just got here.
Okay. And what we're asking is, have you ever made a pizza before, and what is your favorite topping?
Oh, yes, I have extra cheese and pepperoni.
All right. Okay. Anybody else? We do an introduction. Say your name, your city and state or country you're calling from. Have you ever made pizza? And what's your favorite topping?
My name is Jacob, and I'm from Belleville, Michigan, and I have made homemade pizza in the past. And my favorite topping, that's a toss-up between pepperoni, onion, bacon, and green pepper and garlic crust.
Are you like meat lovers or supreme?
Yeah. You could say it that way.
Okay. Again, we're doing introductions. Anybody come off mute? Say your name, city and state you're calling from, and your favorite topping on the pizza.
Amanda in Southern California.
Hey, Amanda.
Hi. Yes, I have made my own pizza, and my favorite toppings, I like pesto sauce instead of the marinara, and basil, garlic, and mushrooms, and oat cheese, mozzarella. Oat mozzarella.
That's different. Okay. Never had that.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to go for like another minute. Anybody else want to introduce themselves that have not had a chance to introduce themselves?
Yeah, it's Michael. Go ahead, Don.
I'm from Houston. My favorite is mushrooms and chicken.
Mushrooms and chicken. Yeah, that's the first chicken I've heard. I mean, first chicken topping is a favorite.
Michael in Texas, and I never took home ec, so I've never made a pizza myself. I'm kind of like any. I will eat pretty much anything. Any veggies, any meats.
Okay.
Long as it's dead, I'll eat it. Well, I'll eat some things that are living too.
Jimmy chicken, and I have made one, I think, and I like pepperoni and hamburger.
Okay, Julie likes pepperoni and hamburger.
Gloria from Houston.
Hey, Gloria.
Hi, I have made one. I like mushrooms and black olives.
All right. Sounds good.
Elisa and Porter, and I have made one before. And I guess I'm gonna go with pepperoni.
Pepperoni is her favorite.
Because I'm late, so I don't know. I don't know if I answered the question correctly.
Pepperoni don't have anything to do with being late.
No, I said I don't know if I answered the question correctly. Smart one.
It's okay. It's all right. You're here. It's all that counts. All that matters. And I'm one of those that I didn't tell myself. My favorite topping, usually now, if I'm ordering or if I'm going to a place, I'm a meat person. So usually if I'm picking, I'm gonna try to get a meat lovers, and I may get a supreme, just so I can act like I'm eating healthy. You know, I got the meat and I got a few vegetables on there as well. Not a big fan of black olives though. Okay. All right, I'm gonna give you one last. Anybody else that has not had a chance to introduce himself, give you like a few seconds, and then we'll just go ahead and get started. And hearing crickets, I guess we'll go ahead and get started. Now, it's funny. When I decided to pick this as a topic, every once in a while I go back down memory lane, think about things that I've done, and to try to come up with creative topics or something that we can discuss. And the main idea for this, it's iBUG's Slice, is for everybody. You know, I can introduce you to ways that you can still get any type of daily routines, any stuff at home. And even though we all may have family, we all may have significant others or whoever, to kind of do things that may be kind of challenging for us, but hopefully I can provide information that any event no one is available, or you just feeling adventurous, and let you know that you can actually try these things, these tips that usually gets presented here every fourth Thursday, including making a homemade pizza. And I thought about that because I remember, as I had said earlier, I did this back in a home ec class, and how I had come up with that was the home ec teacher. Our assignment was sometime throughout the year, because we had different projects that we had to complete throughout the year, and one of them was making a casserole. And back then, when I was in high school, I did not like casserole at all. I rarely even liked cheese. So I had no clue as to what I'm going to do for a casserole, because I don't eat it. But the teacher says, you know, it's just part of the grade for the entire year. I had to come with a casserole. And she helped me out and says, well, you know, pizza is a casserole. So cool. We came up there like within the last month of the school calendar year, that would be the thing that I would make. And so we found a recipe. And as I indicated before, it took us like 2 class periods, because it's going to take one class period where we actually make the dough, and then the other period is to take, whatever type of toppings or ingredients I wanted to. Well, first we'll make the sauce, and then whatever toppings I want, put that in there as well. And we had to, make a list. We had to be extremely organized. And it's funny because it's been a while since I've done it. And normally, if I'm gonna, usually when I have my son over, sometimes I think of like things that we can do to kind of kill time as an adventure. So, he was here a couple of weekends ago, so I figured, we'll try that. And I remember asking folks just so I can also get some ideas. I like gathering information so I can make the information more informative. And I remember I asked somebody, have you ever made a homemade pizza before, and do you have a recipe? And this person told me, yeah, I got a recipe for you. It's called going to www.pizzahut.com. I'm like, no, I'm not trying to order a pizza. I actually want to make it. This is a project. I know we're in a day that we all are good at ordering. Well, they're good at having things delivered and probably cooking, utilizing gadgets, such things as Instant Pots and air fryers, stuff to get things a lot quicker. But every once in a while, it's good to try, as a project and to, make it kind of a fun task. We can do things from scratch as well. Now, of course, it is, if you're in a crunch, then yeah, well, by all means, yeah, you can go and order one and have it delivered. Depends on how hungry you are and how much patience you do not have if you're going to take that place. Now, you also could, instead of making the dough, because I'm going to cover two major things. I'm going to cover how to make a dough, and then I'm also going to cover making a pizza sauce. Now, if you do not want to make the dough, yes, you can go into any popular grocery store and buy the frozen crust. They got different brand names. I actually have never bought the frozen crust. So if anybody have any suggestions of a particular brand, if you've done this before, which you may recommend or suggest to anybody, none of us own any stock of anything, or unless you do, you could do that as well. I invite you to come off mute and probably name, the store that you can find, or a particular brand name that has the frozen crust that you can buy. That way you can just pour in your sauce or you can make your sauce and putting your toppings on it and heat it that way. But I don't have experience that way as well. So before I go further, has anybody bought a frozen crust before? And if you have, do you recommend a particular name brand or a particular kind?
This is Jody.
Hey, Jody.
Well, I haven't bought frozen pizza crust, but you can actually buy pizza dough in the grocery store, and it's just like regular dough, but it's it's not frozen. You have to spread it out in the pan,
right,
and all that. So, but I haven't bought the frozen.
Okay. Neither have I. Okay, so let's talk about, and again, for those of you guys who are new, usually when I do this presentation, mine is extremely interactive. So I invite you that if you have, while I'm talking, while we are presenting, or as anyone's talking, if you want to make a comment or ask a question, you're welcome to come off mute and say your name, and then wait to be acknowledged before you start making your comment. If I hear your name, I'll let you know that I hear you, and then I will yield you the floor to ask a question or make your comment. Now, of course, with anything that you're going to make from scratch or make from home, you're going to require some ingredients. And usually when I have done, and those of you who've been here in the past, when I have prepared or stated how I prepare a particular dish, I'm guilty of not having exact measurements because by me always doing 95% of the cooking in my home, I just know exactly how much, just from experience, how much spices I need to add, or except for if I'm baking a cake from a box. I pretty much know that recipe by heart. How many, what the exact ingredients and what measurements to use. So with this, since it's been a while, I actually went online and find a couple of recipes. Now, for the pizza dough, the ingredients I have are as follows. Want you to gather. You're gonna need water. You're gonna need 3/4 cups of warm water. We're gonna need 1 1/2 teaspoons of sugar. That's regular sugar. 1/4 ounce package of active dry yeast. You're going to need 2 cups of all-purpose flour. You're going to need 1 teaspoon of sea salt, 1 tablespoon plus 1 teaspoon of extra virgin olive oil, and one second. Wait, let me put this phone down because I'm actually reading Braille as I do through this. I could have memorized it, but I didn't. And that's it. That's pretty much all of the ingredients. Oh, you're gonna need a mixing bowl, of course. Now, so you're gonna take a small bowl. You're gonna stir together the water, the sugar, and the yeast, and set aside for about, and as you mix it all together, you're going to set aside for about 5 minutes or until the yeast is foamy. And foamy means it's kind of like fluff up. And of course, with this, before you do anything, it goes without saying that we have to wash our hands because we're going to get our hands dirty with all the ingredients that we're going to be messing with. So yeah, the yeast and everything, with the water and the sugar and the yeast, you're gonna stir it up for like about 5 minutes until the yeast becomes very foamy. It's almost like not exactly like whipped cream, but I'm sure when I use the word foamy, you know what I'm referring to. Go ahead, Judd.
Yeah, you might want to use warm but not hot water, just like lukewarm water, and also you can hear the yeast activating.
Absolutely.
When it gets foamy.
Definitely want. Yeah, you don't want hot water, and you want to stick your fingers in the water to make sure it's warm. Yeah, but definitely not hot. Then in a mixer, if you're going to use a mixer, you can also probably use place the flour and salt. And if you're using a mixer, mix it on medium speed until it is all combined. Then you're going to add the yeast mixture and a tablespoon of the olive oil to that mix. Then you're going to mix it on medium speed until the dough forms into a ball until it forms into a ball. You can do this for like about 5 to 6 minutes. If the dough is too dry to form a ball, then you can add a little bit of water, probably like about a half of a tablespoon, or until it's not dry anymore. Now, if it gets to be too wet, if you've done just the opposite, then you might want to add in maybe some flour. You definitely do not want your dough to be sticky. If it happens to be sticky, then that's when you may have to add a little bit of flour to it. And so, have a regular size mixing bowl to form to the ball. Then you're going to turn the dough out onto a lightly flour surface and gently knead it into a smooth ball. So definitely get yourself like a cutting board, a big cutting board as a surface to spread this out. Put that ball in it. So basically, you're going to flatten it out too as well, and that way you can tell if it's too sticky or too dry, and if you're going to need to add more water to it or add more flour. Then let's see. Then my ingredient says brush a large bowl with the remaining with a teaspoon of olive oil and place the dough inside. Now, once you got it inside of a bigger bowl, you're going to cover it with like plastic wrap or saran wrap and set it aside until your yeast rise. And that can take, but it depends on the temperature of the room. If you're in like a room temperature, it could take like about an hour, could take like about 30 minutes, but you definitely want it to rise. And then you're going to turn the dough until a flour surface. This is basically your cutting bowl or maybe even like a baking sheet. Now, when I tried mine, I didn't use like a regular round pizza or a round pizza pan. I had because my baking sheets that I have are not round. They are, I do have like a round pizza. It's like about, I think, 9 by 13 inches. The one that if I'm going to put like a frozen pizza, like a Red Baron or something like on it, I put that in the oven. But for this, when we tried it, we just took like, a regular size baking sheet. So it's going to be one of those, I forgot what they call it. Some people call it New York style. Some companies, when the pizza is like square and it's going to be cut into squares. So this one's going to be like that. So this one's like big and rectangular. And the recipe here calls for you, though, to be, stretch it out to about 14 inches. For a pizza pan, for like that particular size. Then you're going to top and base according to the pizza recipe that you're using, which is like this one, typically about 10 to 13 minutes. And you're going to heat it up. Now, this is if you're going to make your dough. You're going to put it in the oven. Now, if your oven goes as high as 500 degrees, you can do that. So you can be an oven for or until your crust turns golden brown. If your oven does not go that high, you can put, I think everybody oven goes to 500 because I know there are some things I have to cook at 400. But if your oven does not go all the way up to 500, then you can do it at 400 and probably going to keep checking it for I'll say maybe every 8 minutes to make sure your crust is brown. And if you, like myself, don't have any vision, you can utilize, apps such as Be My Eyes or Ira if you are subscribed to the service to get, or if you don't have, unless someone is in the house, they can let you know when it is at a particular, golden brown. Hopefully you won't burn it. Now, that particular recipe, like I said, is best to use all-purpose flour. And when you buy your flour, if you don't have regular white flour, in the baking section of a grocery store, they have the packages label where you can have all-purpose flour or baking flour. But this particular recipe called for all-purpose flour. Now, if you're one of the healthier eaters and you you can try using whole wheat flour for a grain version, a more grain version.
This is
Okay.
Jody.
Go ahead, Jody.
Yeah, I don't mean to keep interrupting.
That's okay.
I hope it's okay. I always coat the pan with olive oil first, and then I also put cornmeal down so that it doesn't stick. And I usually don't bake the crust ahead of time. I usually put the ingredients on it and then bake it.
You know what? On my recipe that I got for when I'm making a pizza sauce, it did state that the thing that you just mentioned.
Okay.
But no, that's fine. No, you interrupt me. It's fine. I always like when you chime in anyway. So you definitely do not have to apologize
Okay.
for that. Okay, now that's for the actual dough. I'm going to switch over. I put this copy down, and I'm going to make sure I didn't leave anything out. And then we're going to talk about making the actual sauce. And because I have one recipe for sauce that says you don't even have to, it's very simple, only has very simple ingredients, simple steps. Don't even really need to cook anything at first. Okay. Let's put that down. Now, of course, when you're making sauce, you got several different kinds of sauce. Depends on the type of pizza you're going to make. Now, the ingredients for the sauce. Oh, before I go to the sauce, does anybody else have any questions or statements or comments about the actual dough before I get to the sauce? And then we put it all together. Feel free to come off mute. All right.
Cynthia.
Hey, Cynthia.
Hi. I missed how many cups of flour. Sorry.
1 second. Let me go back because I read it, and I think I said, 2 cups of all-purpose flour.
Thank you.
That's okay, no problem. Okay, ingredients for the sauce. This one called for 3 garlic cloves, 1 ounce 28 ounce, canned whole peeled tomatoes that have been drained, 1 ounce of a canned tomato paste. No, I'm sorry, 1 6-ounce can of tomato paste, 3 tablespoons of extra vinegar. I'm sorry, not vinegar, virgin olive oil, 1 tablespoon of Italian seasoning, 1 teaspoon of sea salt, 1/2 teaspoon of canned sugar, and freshly ground black peppers. Okay. In a food processor, if you have one, you can probably use a blend as well if you don't have a food processor, but you're going to take your garlic and finely chop it up with the 3 cloves of garlic. You're going to chop it up real fine. Then you're going to add in your whole tomatoes, the tomato paste, olive oil, the Italian seasoning, all the rest of the things, the salt, the sugar, and the grinds of black pepper. You're going to process until it's smooth and seasoned to taste. You probably can even smell it too, because when you grind it all up and all these things together, it's going to, give you a nice, smell of the actual pizza sauce. Then once that is all processed and smoothed up, you're going to take the pizza sauce and spread it directly onto a stretched pizza dough. That's the pizza dough that we have just made. We're going to stretch it out until our baking sheet. And you don't have to cook it at first. You don't cook the sauce at first. Just when it's all blended together, you use your process, you're going to spread it all over the dough. And then you're going to, if there's any leftover sauce that probably, after you got your pizza, if you got your dough all filled up with the sauce, then you can put it in an airtight container and use it for either making the pizza again or making other things like pizza balls or whatever. And you can put it in your refrigerator, and it's good for for like 5 days, according to this recipe. It also, you can even freeze it well. And if you freeze it, this recipe says good for like 3 months. Now, the one that I had made back then, of course, we used all of it, so there was none left over. We had a pretty big pan. Here. Now, this is when, and by having the olive oil and all the spread over the pan, then that's when, like if you, like Jody had mentioned earlier, yeah, you don't have to bake the crust at first. You can actually, if you're making the dough, and then because that dough can probably take like maybe, especially if you have never done it before, it could possibly be like a long process to make. So you can actually, put it in the refrigerator, and then when you're ready to put all your ingredients on top of it, the dough, that's when you can preheat your oven to, like as indicated before, to 500 degrees and bake it. It should take like probably only like about 10 to 15 minutes, or just keep checking it. So it definitely won't overcook. And now, this is when you can also, even before you put it in the oven, whatever toppings that you want to mix with this, like if you want to put like your pepperonis, if you buy the pepperonis that you've gotten from the grocery store, if you got your sausage or your Canadian bacon or your chopped onions or whatever you feel you want to put on your pizza, you can also strategically by hand place this all over the pan, in different areas. Kind of like I've never worked at some of the pizza chains like Pizza Hut or Domino's, whatever, to know how they spread out their ingredients all over the pizza so it can be well mixed. But this is how you can just take your pepperonis, put them in different places all over the dough and the sauce. Then you can take whatever else you're going to put in there, mix it in there so it can be making it a nice good pie that you're going to be baking. And then you can make sure your pan is well greased, with the olive oil, with the flour, so it don't stick to it too well. Stick to your pizza pan or your baking sheet or whatever you're using. It just helps it to be easy to take out. Now, then that's when, like, your oven should be already good and hot. At 500 degrees, that is very good heat. So I will recommend that when you are going to open that oven, get some oven mitts. If you have any oven mitts or some real thick pot holders, because we're going to do everything we can to make sure that you do not cause any injuries to yourself. And they got these oven mitts that they're real long. They can go up to, well, it depends on how tall you are, but most of them, like say, if somebody's like 5'2" or under, the oven mitts that I'm speaking of, which can be acquired from companies like Maxi Aids, Independent Living Aids, or even on Amazon. But these are the oven mitts that can go up to probably your elbow, or at least well up your wrist. And some of them may say fire resistant. Now, when they say fire resistant, it doesn't mean that you want to test it out. You don't want to set a match to make sure they don't burn, but it just basically they can resist heat pretty good, and it helps protecting your arms, your elbows. I don't know how long your arms are, or may or may not be, but it just gives you that security blanket there, so that when you open up that oven and you pull out one of the racks, I like to cook on not the rack that is right next to the top, where your what's that thing is called? Your burner is at, but use like the middle one. Because usually if you do any type of baking, but the top one, that's if you're doing any type of broiling. But if you're going to be baking, pull out that second rack, like the oven where you may put like a turkey, or if you're baking some kind of chicken, something like that, use that particular rack. So you're going to use your oven mitt to pull it out so that you don't burn your fingertips. And then as you go to wherever you had your pan at, that you have your pizza dough that you've made, and that you've had your, you put all your sauces and your toppings onto it, that's when you want to take and put an oven mitt on both hands and orientate yourself so you know exactly where your pan is at compared to where your oven is at. And as you have opened your open door, now if you have other people in your oven, and if other people, not in your oven, if you have other people in your kitchen, and if they are low vision or totally blind as well, we always, and this is the thing that I used to teach when I was when I did teaching, how to really prepare things in the kitchen. I always make sure, and if we had several people in the kitchen that were like myself with no vision, we always want to announce that we are opening the oven. And the reason that we announce that, because that makes everybody aware that the oven door is open. You want to walk this way, so you don't want to bang your shins or bang into if someone's going to be moving in the area if you're going to be putting something in or taking something out of the oven. So it's always a good practice if you have other people in your kitchen as well to announce when you open the oven. Now, of course, at a temperature that high, and everyone can feel the heat as well, so they'll know not to, get too close to it. But as always, it's a good practice as a safety mechanism to announce that you are opening the oven. It's just a good practice. It's safety for everybody, or even somebody that's coming in passing by. Now, you don't have to scream it and yell it, and yell it. But of course, now if you are by yourself, then there's no need to announce that. Of course, that goes without saying. So you pull the rack out. Don't pull it out till it's coming out of the oven, just enough that you'll be able to place this pan, your pizza, onto the rack. Look and make sure, even with your oven mitts, you can tell you don't want that pan hanging over the edge. So that way it'll prevent it from, falling off or sliding off. Or even if once you close your oven door, you don't want to, bang it. So, and when you place it in the oven, you can use your oven mitt to make sure that you got enough room that it's not going to slide off the edge as well. And then once you have slid that in there, that's when you can close your oven. And then I'll say even it's a good time if you have other people in your kitchen to make an announcement. You say oven door is closed. So that makes it safe and secure for everybody to go ahead and walk around that particular area. And you can set a timer. If you have like the manual timers, or nowadays we got our iPhones or our iPads or even our smart speaker devices, whether it's the A lady or the G guy lady, whoever, and you can set time on it. And that's why I said, I will set it for like maybe 8 minutes, or you can set multiple timers. Set one for 8, one for like 12. That way you can check it and to make sure your crust is turning a golden brown to let you know when the pizza's done. You can smell it too as well. Definitely it's going to smell. But this is the way it'll prevent you from overcooking it or not cooking it up. So that's why I'm one of those to practice, because sometimes, the thermostat or the temperature control can probably get off key at midnight, although we may have it set at 400 or 450 or 500. It may not get as hot, depends on how old your oven is, the wear and tear, how often you use it. That also could cause, just by checking it, it allows you to be able to know when your pizza's cooking, if it's done, if it's time to take it out. And then if you do it enough times, this is with anything you're cooking as well, you begin to, if you're using your sense of smell, to know, hey, that smells that. Oh, that smells like it's getting kind of burnt. Might want to take it out. So that's the one. That's why I would advise you set in multiple timers to check it. Now, of course, if you've done it enough time, and once you have your oven, no matter how new it is or how old it is, you know when it's time to check it. And then when it's done, let's say best case scenario, your pizza has cooked well, it's golden brown. They got tips. I'm looking through my recipe right now because they got tips that if you want your crust to be kind of crispy, there are instructions for that. Or if you want your dough to be kind of chewy, they got instructions for that as well. I'm also going to be going over, because I did skip all of that. I think I went quick right to the recipe, the name of the ingredients for the dough and how much to use. But they actually, before that, which I'm going to go back and go over that too, before I ask if there are any questions, I've checked this which you can use how to stretch that dough out using something like a rolling pin. For example, a rolling pin, and this is for when you be making a dough. You can flour it as well. This is like it's about, and Jody, you can help me out too. I think rolling pins are about maybe like 12 inches in width. I don't know if they're about a foot wide or something kind of close to that. And they have a handle on each end. And it's good for rolling stuff like this dough because you want to stretch it out over the pan that you're going to be putting your pizza on. Especially after you have, I'm going to back up again. Remember when I took about you're going to stir I'm going back to when we're making the dough. When you make it into a ball and you make sure your dough is not too sticky and not too dry. Then you can, let me go back here. Well, basically what I did, I'm going off, let's say what I did by memory from when I done it a couple of weeks ago, but I do have the recipe written here, which I told Michael that I'm going to email this to them so that can be available on iBUG today. But you take the rolling pin, you can roll it out, and it's going to be wrapping around the rolling pin. And it helps smooth out the ball onto the either the baking sheet that you're using, because you can put it right on your baking sheet, or you can put it on maybe like a cutting board, something that's wide enough as you're flattening out the dough. Let's see, it says, okay, roll out the dough to your desired thickness with a floured rolling pin. That means you're going to put floured all over your rolling pin. Rolling pins, they're sold in the store if you don't have one, but they have like two handles on each end. The thing actually just rolls. I don't know if it has like what do they call them, little round balls that you may find inside of like roller skates. Something that help it to roll easy. And it says, after rolling out the dough, form a slightly thicker border around the edge, with your fingers. That means if you're using a cooking sheet or if you have a pizza pan, like most crusts, this is usually rise up towards on the edges. And that way, that's how you can tell how thick, and you can measure how thick or thin you want your crust to be. You stretch that dough out by hand. So this is where, usually when we're making this, we definitely want to make sure our hands are clean because this is a getting messy type of thing. Your fingers going to be full of everything. You're going to lift the ball of dough by one edge and slide both your fists, using fists, underneath. Work your fists outward to stretch the dough, letting gravity help you to form it into a thin, oval, or circular shape. Depends on, what type of pan you're using. If you're using a round pan, if you're using a rectangular pan like I use, you're going to stretch it out till it becomes real thin. And this rolling pin helps smooth it out. So you may have to roll it like several times as you're stretching it out onto the baking sheet on the pan. They say advanced pizza makers will likely bounce or toss the dough to rotate it as they shape it. So this is one of the techniques you can use to shape the pizza. You can, flatten it out, use your hands to flatten it out, stretch it out, use a rolling pin to stretch it out, and actually until it get good and stretch out. So you're going to stretch this dough out and even form some edges around your baking sheet. Probably want to do this before you add in your sauce as well as adding your toppings. I apologize. I know I probably have gone in reverse. We should have covered this while I was talking about the dough as to how you can form it before you put all the toppings and other sauce onto it. Does that make sense? Or have I confused anybody? If I need to repeat something, just let me know. Come off mute, say your name, and we can go over that again. So for the most part, you're going to form your edges. So there'd be like a little rise edge all around the pan that you're going to be using to bake this in. Okay. Okay, then it says, stretch the pizza dough out the recipe to an approximately Well, this one says 14 inches of an oval circle, but I guess it all depends on what type of pan you have. If you want to get 14 inches, which is kind of big, you can do that. Or if you got one that's probably maybe not as big, maybe 10 inches or 12 inches, depends on, the inches, the size of the pan. It depends on what you have or what you're going to use to get. So if you're going to decide to do this, you can go to the store, and usually in the baking section of a grocery store, or if you're going into like a Walmart, I know most of your pans are usually they're not in the grocery section. They usually are in the houseware section where a lot of pots and pans are. You can even buy disposable pans. Now, I wouldn't suggest using a disposable pan to make a pizza though, because that may interfere with how your pizza would come out because of the texture of those disposable pans. And then you want to make sure your pizza crust or the dough that you're making is even all the way around. Check out the thickness. You don't want it thin on one side and thick on the other side. You want to make sure, as best you can, using your fingertips and using your feet, that your border edges are the same size. Do this, and you have to do this several times, especially if it's your first time doing it. Make sure your edges are perfectly as best you can, and just basically even it up with the edges of your baking sheet or your pizza pan. And that definitely would help you not to have your edges lopsided, that one side or one border or one section of it is thicker than the other. So you want to make it as thin as possible. And this is good for presentation as well. And then you can, of course, the thick and the thin is to your desire. If you want a real thick crust, not saying you want it as thick as a Chicago style pizza, but and if you want it real thin because you don't want to have it like, it's almost like even when that's why they have different type of crust that you can make. What if you want a thin crust? And I think the thinner the crust, the more you can have, it can be like a little crispy when you're baking it. And of course, that also may determine how much you want your pizza to cook for as well. If your crust is actually really thin, then it may not need the entire 10 to 15 minutes. It may only need just 10 minutes. Okay. Any questions so far? All right. Hold on. I'm skipping through these comments where I got this recipe from. Besides, because when I made it, I actually I use like a cooking sheet that I use like if I'm baking cookies. This is what I did because that's all I had. I didn't go out and purchase like a round pan. Since it was like a last minute idea, I just used whatever I had here. And my cookie sheet is probably about maybe like half of an inch thick. But what I did was I flattened it out to make sure it wasn't going over the edges. So I think when I had my crust, it probably wasn't a half inch thick. It probably was real thin. Because the main thing, we wanted to have all our ingredients, to give it more flavor. And the toppings that I had used, of course, I had pepperonis. I took some. Now, most people are probably not going to do this what I done, but I took some ground meat and I ground it, and then I just broke it up. So that's one ingredient that I think I did cook separately. Of course, I drained the grease out of it. It's kind of like almost if I was going to make a meat sauce with my spaghetti. But of course, I wasn't making a meat sauce. So I drained the grease out from when I ground the hamburger meat. And then we made like little balls with it, the small ones. And that's how I had like my hamburger meat that I put on there with the pepperonis. I didn't look for the sausage, the little round sausage. Like if you get like a pizza, you want pepperoni sausage, and I got those little round balls. I could have looked for that, but I didn't. I just used what I had here in the place, and I spread that over there. I chopped up some, had my mixture where I chopped up some little fine pieces of onion that I put in there. And then of course I had my sauce that I put over it too as well, and spread it out all over the pizza. And then I put it in the oven, and we baked it for like about maybe again I think we did like about 12 minutes because ours was kind of thick. And I think I did it at 450. And the reason I chose to do 450 because I really was careful. I didn't want to burn it. My oven gets pretty hot. And, it came with the apartment I live in. I don't know if they need to reset it or whatever it is, but it seems to get hot because even when I bake cakes, I have to really watch it. Even though the recipe on the box says bake for like 25 to 30 minutes, I'm checking this cake at 20 minutes because, this thing gets real hot. And that's pretty much it. And what I did was when the pizza was done, I had like my crust wasn't really thin, like a real thin crust. It's kind of like in between. I guess it could be like almost like a hand toss. So, if you order from like the pizza places, you have like thin hand toss or pan. I didn't definitely have pan. This one was probably in between like thin and hand toss. So that way we had more of the toppings that we're tasting and the cheese and the sauce, whatever, more than having all of that dough. And then, my crust was kind of crispy as well. So it came out pretty good. For something that I had not done in probably since the 10th grade, by me following the recipe, which I had to do this time since I hadn't done it in a while, actually it came out, pretty good. Now I may do it again some other time so I can become a perfectionist at it, but I won't do it too much, unless I have company over here because when you make it homemade pizza, it tends to make a whole lot more than what you would have when you order from a place. And I don't want me just eating up all that stuff. There's too much. I'm still careful about the shape that I'm staying in. Now, the recipe that I use, they also had, especially the pizza sauce, they had like different kinds of pizza sauce you can make. They mentioned like I don't have, if anybody was interested in making like a veggie type pizza sauce, there was instructions for that I'm going to email to Michael, do that if you want to try that. There was one for a margarita pizza. Now, I don't know if the margarita pizza that you probably have to go and get a margarita, and I'm of course I'm being silly. I have no idea what a margarita pizza is. I don't know if that's
George,
a
this is
margarita.
Janice.
Go ahead, Janice.
A margarita pizza is pizza with tomato, basil, and mozzarella.
Ah, thank you. Thank you for the clarification, because when I hear margarita, I'm thinking happy hour.
And it's like sliced tomato, like not pureed tomato, but a sliced tomato with basil and mozzarella.
Okay. Wonder how he gets the name margarita.
I can't tell you that.
That's all right. That's it's okay.
This is Jody.
Go ahead, Jody.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe it had salt around the rim or around the edges of them. What I do, and these are shortcuts that I've done. I buy the dough, and then I spread it out with my fingers, and then you can actually buy ragu pizza sauce, which is pretty good. And
yeah,
then
that would be good.
And then you can buy, pre-shredded mozzarella in a bag. And then you can buy pre-sliced pepperoni. And what I like about the pre-sliced pepperoni is it's really, really, really thin. It's a lot thinner than you can usually, slice it at home. So, those are some shortcuts you can take to still have a homemade pizza, but it's got, shortcut ingredients.
Absolutely.
And of course, put your oregano and all your other spices on it.
Yeah, and you guys, when you're making your sauce, it's to your taste liking, because even when we was mixing it, even instructions say that too, that actually you mix all the ingredients, and if you need to like add different things to it, like if just like Jody's mentioned, if you want it, spicy, you can add some oregano to it, or if you want to add in some ground peppers, if you want your sauce to be a little spicier, And it's up to your taste. It's whatever you prefer, however you want your sauce to taste. You can add things as you need to. Yeah, it don't have to be the same way. If you don't want it too salty, then you probably don't want to use too much salt as well. But the sauce is what determines, because even the different companies, when they make their pizza, as you notice, if you feel like me, when you may have ordered pizza from different places, I don't want any stock any places. I'm going to mention some names like Pizza Hut or Papa John's or Domino's or Chuck E. Cheese. Each of those pizza places, for whatever reason, their sauce tastes a little different. Domino's does not taste like Pizza Hut. Pizza Hut does not taste like Papa John. They all have their own unique, different taste. And which is what you could do with your sauce. You can have your own unique flavor, whatever's to your liking. So that, as you're mixing it, with a mixer, you can take like, maybe a little small teaspoon or one of those real, like a half of a teaspoon, and, just dip it in your sauce and taste it, put your finger in there. And if you need to add some more to it, now don't take that spoon and dip back in and go ahead and wash the spoon off, because if you want other people to be eating your sauce, you don't want to contaminate it that way. So you dip it, you half of a teaspoon in there, taste it that way, then wash it off. And then if you think you need to add more, add your ingredients and blend it some more, and till you get it to the taste that you like. All right. So anybody have any other questions or suggestions regarding making a sauce or making a dough?
Yes, this is Jake. I have a question.
Go ahead, Jacob.
Are you going to put like the recipe for the sauce on the website and the recipe for the dough, or?
Yes, I will. I will do that because, I have it saved onto my computer. And I told Michael that I was going to email it to him because he's the one who posts things on the website, on the iBUGtoday.com. Was it .org?
It's
Or
.org.
both?
Or both,
.org.
yeah.
And so they'll be up there. I'm going to have the recipe for the actual dough that I grabbed from the internet, as well as for the sauce.
Okay.
This is Innie.
It's Innie.
One thing you had mentioned to set timer different, even if it's, you can tell when it smells good. It's really a good idea to set timers because I bake a lot. Just because sometimes the phone will ring, somebody at the door, you get distracted. Mm-hmm. So if you do have a timer, like you said, you'll never burn it because it will take off, and they'll say, "Oh, I got food in the oven." So it's really a good idea to always set a timer, no matter, even if you need to bake it for another 5 minutes. Or I always do the snooze on my Alexa, just to snooze 5 minutes until because it will go, just to know how long things are, and in case you get distracted, let's say you have to run to the bathroom, but when you hear the timer, it gives you that alerting. So it's really a good idea. And the other thing I was going to say, when you have toppings, lots of like meat toppings, wouldn't you just brown everything before you put it on top? Like if you have hamburger, or, but pepperoni you don't need to, but if it's
no, you don't.
Hamburger,
exactly.
Yeah, or sausage, or I like to use also chorizo or whatever. Yeah, you just have browned that already before you throw it all on there.
You just gave me a good idea. Chorizo, that probably is very good on pizza.
Very, very good. That's like my favorite pizza now. I get that.
I've never had that.
Oh, it's.
But I can imagine because I've had chorizo on like a breakfast burrito before.
Yes.
Breakfast taco, but now that you're thinking about it, man, okay, I'm gonna start looking for that now because I love chorizo. Those are so good.
This is Jody.
And hey, Jody.
What is it?
Oh, Oh, you can tell her if you want, George.
No. You go. You tell her.
Oh, chorizo. It's a Mexican sausage.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's how like when you eat taco meat, how it has the Mexican seasoning. So
Yeah.
chorizo, I'm not sure if it's I think it's pork, not a ground beef, but it's a sausage and it had the spicing. It's Mexican spicing, so it's a
Yeah.
little bit hot, but it's really very very delicious.
Oh, that
It's
does
a
sound
little
good.
spicy,
Thank
but
you.
it's not going to set your mouth on fire.
Mm-mm. No, just
But it's
yeah,
very good to me.
very good, and it's really good, like you said, in breakfast burrito with eggs and
Hmm.
cheese and. But yeah, if you sometimes we order vegetarian pizza because we like a lot of vegetables, and then we say add chorizo on it. It's really good, just with the chorizo and all the vegetables.
Now putting that chorizo on it since that's meat, it's no longer vegetarian pizza.
Exactly. I just wanted to vegetarian because I want all the vegetables. But yeah, I know they look at you like you wanted vegetarian, but then you ask for chorizo. It's like so. Well, thank you.
Okay, no problem. No, thank you. And you gave me
Yeah,
something
thank
that
you.
I'm going to try. I'm going to look for some chorizo pizza, or see if they got it. They can add it onto a pizza. No, I'm not going to go to Taco Bell and get that. I'm going to a real pizza place. Although I've
This is
heard Taco
Amanda.
Bell have. Go ahead, Amanda.
They have soy rizo. So it's soy instead of the pork meat, but it's seasoned with the chorizo flavorings. So you
So
can
that
still
keeps it
get it.
vegetarian.
Yes. There
Okay.
you go. Yeah,
Never
it's
heard of
good.
it,
You
but
wouldn't even know the difference. It's very good.
well, trust me, George is nowhere close to being a vegetarian. I'm a meatitarian, if there is such a word.
Okay, well, it's worth a shot someday.
But if the sauce is good, now I'll eat a vegetarian pizza if the sauce is good. But I just because I do eat vegetables, I just don't like black olives though. But if I can get minus some black olives, I'll eat a vegetarian pizza if the sauce is real good.
This is Vincent.
Good, Vincent.
I have a question. Is there any purpose of, or is it just for show when the cooks toss up the pizza dough in the air and catch it?
I think that's just for show. I don't know, Jody, you got a comment about that?
Oh, it's really hard to find pizzerias where they still do that. But I remember that when I was a kid. Yeah. Well, I think it's centrifugal force that makes the dough, spread out evenly and so I think it's probably a combination of the two. It's probably easy to put on the pan that way, but it's also great
Hmm.
for show.
I think,
Hey,
yeah.
this is Katrisa from Selma. I was saying they have vegetarian sausage. I think you get Morning Glory. Like I like the what do you call it? The maple sausage, vegetarian sausage. You can put that on your pizza, your vegetarian sausages. If you if you're vegan. I think they're made out of pinto beans or something.
And I apologize, everybody. Like is indicated, I'm too much of a meat freak. I forgot that we may have some vegetarians or some vegans in the
Yeah.
audience that I didn't even think about getting information about that. So forgive me.
Yeah, Morning Glory.
Mhm.
We have it in I forgot the other ones. They're good.
Okay. And any other vegans out there? Do you guys also have any suggestions? If we have any other vegans on the line or vegetarians? No, I don't want to leave anybody out.
This is Ini.
Go ahead, Annie.
I wanted to comment earlier about flipping the pizza crust up and catch it. I think they do that to get more of a like air bubbles in it, to make it more of a how do I say that? Fluffy. You get more of the yeast to poof, whatever they say, to get the crust more of airy, to get air in it. How it's all
Okay.
about getting air in the crust to make it so light. And I
Okay.
think that's what it is done for. Because, yeah.
Now, I didn't do that. I think I read it somewhere, but I'm like, I don't know. I didn't want to take a chance me tossing this thing up in the air and then I may not be able to catch it. So I didn't do that part. Oh, there's one other thing I wanted to point out too, is that they indicated that if the yeast does not foam up, it means that the yeast is probably not good. And so they indicated that if that happens, they suggest toss it out and start over. So it is important that the yeast does, they use the word frothy, frothy. And if it doesn't do that, then it means something was wrong with that yeast.
This is Jen.
Go ahead.
I agree with the I think it helps to maybe activate the yeast more. But of course, I went to Google, see what Google had to say, and they said when they toss the pizza, it helps with stretching it so that it fits the pan that it's on. So whatever you want to believe.
Now, the Google, if anybody knows, because when I'm hearing them, they tossing it in the air. Are they tossing up they can just like catch it, or are they tossing like way up so it can really flop down? How high is the toss? Or does anybody know?
It didn't specify, so I don't know.
This is Vincent.
Yeah, Vincent.
Yeah, I remember because we had a couple of hotels that had Italian restaurants, and they had a pizza oven, and there was one guy in particular that was really good, and he used to toss it up something like, I don't know, it looked like between 2 and 3 feet up in the air. I mean, it was pretty high. So it was actually, and actually I convinced because this was one of the hotels that our company owned. We moved the pizza chef towards the front of the restaurant just so people that were passing by could see what he was doing. And my gosh, that alone attracted a ton of people, just because it was really a show. And it might have been, for show, but he did toss it up pretty high, about 3 feet up in the air.
Okay. Okay. All right, 3 feet is not that bad. Because I'm thinking, they toss it real high and then catch it. Then I know it probably would be for sure. It toss the thing way high because, there are some hotels that I remember here in Texas. There's a town called Corpus Christi, which had I stayed at an embassy suite that was near the waterfront, and they had like this big lobby where at some time during like happy hour, like from like 4 to 6 or 5 to 8, there'd be somebody who would cook on this little open table where he would just make all kind of things like right there in the middle of the lobby, and allow people to sample it, or I think it'd be available for you to purchase it, like from the hotel, restaurant, whatever. And I could imagine them doing something like that too. They're making like a pizza, tossing it up. It's almost um, like some of those fudge shows or how people make fudge, and it's just like a whole skit they doing, how they flip the thing, how they roll it, how they mix everything up. So I could imagine, a show like that happen in some place where they probably would take like the pizza, the dough, the ball, and just toss it way up. And it must take practice too, gotta make sure you catch it, that it doesn't land in an area where you can't get it. Then, of course, it's contaminated and you have to throw it away and make the dough all over again. All right. Anybody got else any comments, questions, thoughts? So let me ask this question. After hearing this and going through this, and I went through the dough, I went through the making the sauce, how different. It's for those of you, because I know there was a couple you said that you guys have made pizza before. Matter of fact, I think it was a lady from California who said she made a pizza from scratch, like I think a couple of years ago. Was this any different, or was it similar to what you have done? Who was there was a young lady from California. I don't remember the name, or if you even are still here. Not the one from San Diego, some other part of California. Well, she's probably gone.
Oh, this is Amanda.
So let me, Amanda, go ahead.
You said from Southern California. Maybe that's me.
Was it you who said that you made a pizza like a few years ago?
Yes, but I did
Okay.
with the basil and the pesto. So I don't know if that was me that you're talking about.
Probably was.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
sorry. That was over an hour and almost an hour and a half ago, and I guess was so focused on what I'm doing, I didn't take notes.
Oh, it's okay. I missed the question. I just heard.
Okay.
I think, yeah.
So the question I asked, was this particular recipe, was it, besides you say adding the basil, was it even similar to how you had done it? How did your pizza come out?
Good. I thought it was good. Yeah, I didn't add meat or anything, so I didn't have to worry about cooking anything first. And then it was just I actually cheated. So I bought dough it's a vegan.
Mm-hmm.
I think the brand is Miyoko. And so it was the crust already. And then I had the pesto sauce, so I just put that on. And then the garlic cloves, I like chunks of garlic, so I just chopped it up, nothing fancy.
That's
And
good for
then,
flavor.
yes. And then the oat cheese, it's already shredded and it melts nicely. So I put that on top and then ripped up the basil because I don't like biting into my pizza and then a whole basil leaf comes off. I
Oh,
don't like
wow.
that. So
Yeah.
I rip it up and then the mushrooms and then olive oil on top and the cracked black pepper, a little bit of salt, and then just bake it. And it was good. It's very good. Very
Okay.
easy, quick, nothing fancy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with buying the crust, 'cause that's what I made. For one thing, it definitely saves on time.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, you gotta just take the crust out and put it out, and just put your ingredients and sauces and toppings on top of it, and bake it. It's done.
Hey, this is Katinka from Selma.
Go ahead.
I did a pizza toast before. I had some toast and I put some spaghetti sauce and a few pepperoni and some cheese. I don't know what else I had, but I put it on the top of the toast and it was good. I had a little pizza toast.
So you didn't stick it in a toast like regular sliced bread, and you like a pop-up toaster. You put it like you use a toaster oven, or you like you indicated you just put it on.
I use a toaster oven,
Okay.
and I just put a slice of pepperoni and some cheese and some tomatoes. I can't remember what else I put on there, but it was good. That was years ago. I might do it again.
I don't
But hey, is
know.
this
That's something
recorded?
said. I might. That's
Is
something
this
said. I might want hold on. That's something said. I might want to try it during lunch because in my office we have a toaster oven, and if I tried it, I'm sure it's going to smell up the whole place. That way I can tease folks.
Hey, is this recorded? I
Okay.
might go back and listen to it because I missed it. I was doing something. I think I was cooking and I
Yes,
missed
it
it.
is recorded. It will be available, after, when we end the meeting, and it's going to be on the website that you can pull it up, and pretty much all the iBug platform, shows are recorded for listening later. So this would be there as well.
And I ended up trying to find you last night, and it was the wrong night. I had to call and call last night.
That's okay. Who else wanted to speak? I didn't hear the name.
Well, this is Jody.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you can also watch it on YouTube. You can also make English muffin pizza, and you can make French bread pizza, and you can also get cauliflower crusts too. Another kind of pizza that I've made too is breakfast pizza, which is actually what pizza was originally, where you put apples and cinnamon and sugar and have it in the morning. So there's all kinds of varieties of different pizza that you can get.
See, when you say breakfast pizza, I'm thinking bacon and eggs.
Well, you can do that too, I guess. But yeah, the original pizza was actually a breakfast pizza with fruit and cinnamon sugar.
Interesting. I've never had it that way, but that sounds good.
Yeah, very good. And you can get the cauliflower crust and like I said, English muffins and French bread, you can also put your ingredients on that too.
Okay. You guys, yeah, just so know, I am writing notes now. I'm getting all these ideas. I got the pizza toast. We got the breakfast pizza, which sounds good. I got a friend of mine who wants me to eat more healthier now, so I may have to try this vegetarian pizza with the what did Amanda say? With the basil and the
and a cauliflower crust too.
Garlic, cauliflower. Mm-hmm.
This is Vincent.
Not that I'm going to become a vegetarian. Go ahead, Vincent.
No, and if you
and I heard you, Jacob. Go ahead, Vincent.
And if you still want to have the meat flavor, you can use the soy riso. Like somebody was saying, Morningstar has some of the best products, vegetarian.
Oh yeah.
And the soy riso really tastes good. It tastes almost like chorizo, and so the bread.
Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. I'm originally from New Orleans, so we're all about our flavors. It's got to have good flavor. Man, somebody's cooking. I'm just right because somebody's cooking. I live in an apartment complex where we have an indoor hallway, and somebody's cooking something that if I need to go learn some Spanish, so because I'm not about the only one in my hallway that speaks English, but someone is making something that smells awfully good. I'm jealous. Anyway, was it Jacob that somebody else was calling for the floor? I got distracted.
I got a question about the toaster. How did you actually put the pizza in the toaster, or just set it on top, or what?
She said she used a toaster oven. Was that what was her name? I know you said it 2 times and I've lost it. The lady who did the pizza toast. Are you still here? But I think she said she put it in the toaster oven.
Okay.
And she put her toppings on it. Because that's what I need to ask. How many minutes did she have it in the toaster oven for?
Well, no, as long as it got warm, I guess. Maybe about 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the temperature you set it at and how, you can try it out for like 10 minutes or you can smell it and just keep checking it.
Yeah.
That will be my best guess. But I would encourage you to try it.
Yeah, it sounds something like I would try.
This is Jen.
Go ahead, Jen.
I was thinking too, you could make a Mexican pizza where you could either use ground beef or mix it up with the chorizo and add the different Mexican seasonings. And then, you can put on your toppings and use the Mexican shredded cheese on top too.
That's what I was about to ask you. What makes the pizza Mexican? Is it going to have like pico de gallo on it or something? Or
no, I
the
think
chorizo sausage?
It's just more the seasonings that you would use and, then the Mexican cheese and, you could just
probably the bell peppers.
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is Innie.
There was, go ahead, Innie.
Were you talking about taco pizza, or you just mean what makes a pizza Mexican? Because taco pizza, like you said, you take the hamburger, and I don't think they even use chorizo. They use hamburger, but they add the Mexican, make it like a taco meat, add the Mexican seasoning, and then I think they use also the taco sauce instead of the Italian
that's
sauce.
The taco sauce.
Taco sauce, and then they put the meat and then the Mexican cheese, and then I think they want to make it like a taco, so they have lettuce and sour cream and
Mm-hmm.
And then little nacho chips. That's one of my favorite too. Yeah.
I remember I used to have a coworker that used to always order it. She used to brag about how good a taco pizza was, and I never got it. And she never even let me try it. But I like now, I've gotten to the point where my palate has gotten a little bit more adventurous. I probably would try it now. I probably do it minus the sour cream though, because I still haven't developed an acquired taste for sour cream or guacamole.
Yeah, that's like extra on the side. Taco pizza is the one pizza that it's not good when it's left over because it has the fresh lettuce and tomatoes and the nacho, like the Dorito chips. The next day, everything is soggy, the lettuce wilted, tomatoes just, you gotta eat it.
That's true, because even a leftover taco is not good.
Yeah, yeah, because of the fresh stuff. Yeah, but leftover regular top pizza, it's really good, except taco pizza. You got to eat it all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if they got a personal pan size, I may try it. Okay. Anybody else got any comments, questions, or thoughts? A piece idea. Now I'm wondering, are you guys going to go ahead and try it? I know some of us haven't done it in a long time, and it's fun. It's a general consensus because I've been prepared for this like all month. I was checking around, pulling recipes. I was asking folks that they have any pizza recipes, and everybody says, "Oh, I tried it once with my kids, didn't work out well, so we never did it again." And somebody said one time they did it with their kids around Halloween, so they had like some sort of green and there's some kind of food color they put on the pizza to make it like Halloween colors when their kids were small. But I'm just curious, hearing all of this and knowing that it is definitely possible that you don't necessarily need working visual eyes. How many of us going to possibly one day try to make this make a homemade pizza? And look, it is okay that if you go the lazy way or cheat a little bit and get a crust and just put your toppings and sauce onto it. Just make the sauce. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
What about pizza macaroni?
All right, it's too young.
Huh? Sorry.
Say it again.
Oh, okay. This is Katrisa.
It was you. Wait. Before you go forward, hold that thought. I don't want you to forget that thought, okay? But I need to ask you something because you went away. We was asking about that pizza toast, a toast pizza you said that you made?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you put it in the toaster oven, how long does it have to cook in the toaster oven?
I guess until the bottom side is crunchy. Maybe about five minutes or so.
5 or 10 minutes, and I guess depends on how hot you have your toaster oven, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We digress a little bit. Now go back with your original thought. What you had?
What about pizza macaroni? Cook all of the ingredients that you put in a pizza, like your sausages, your bacon, and your tomato sauce, and your tomatoes and olives and onion and peppers and stuff.
Pizza macaroni.
You could mix it with the macaroni noodles and you could top it with cheese.
You've done it before? Or you think that's just a good idea? This sounds like that'd be good.
I'm thinking about trying it one day.
Because I had that is beyond my imagination. I would have never thought about that. Macaroni on pizza or macaroni pizza.
Well, it's pizza macaroni, really.
Pizza macaroni.
It's not on a pizza. It's just mainly pasta. Pizza pasta. Pizza
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. All right. There was someone else who had wanted to make a comment besides Katrisa. Man, I'm sorry. I didn't hear your name. I think it was a guy. Well, anybody else?
Well, it's Jody.
Hey, Jody.
I have a friend that makes a barbecue pizza. Instead of using tomato sauce, she uses barbecue sauce, and then she puts pulled pork on it with like Monterey Jack cheese. It's not something I like, but she absolutely loves it. It's just another idea using barbecue sauce instead of tomato sauce.
There's a place here in Houston that's in the Heights area, since we have a few people here in Houston, called Crust Pizza. It's on West 20th and Shepherd. And I'm bringing this up because I went there about a couple of weekends ago for the first time. It's a pizza place, it's a sit-down restaurant. And one of the people that was with had a barbecue chicken pizza. I know chicken was one of the toppings. I can't remember what the other toppings he had on it. And they gave me a slice of it, to try. Now, of course, I didn't eat it to the next day because I was pretty full when I left there. But that was pretty good. So it depends on you. If you're a big fan of barbecue, like I am, that was not bad. I heated it up in the air fryer to maintain the freshness, and that was pretty good. It was a stuffed crust too, pizza, but it was a barbecue chicken pizza. So that's a thought.
What did they put on it? Did they put collard greens on it too? No, just kidding.
Soul food pizza, gotcha. I don't think so. This person who got it, they wasn't big on vegetables. Okay, anyone else?
I guess you can make any kind of pizza you want to make.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
How about chocolate pizza?
A what?
Chocolate pizza.
Chocolate? No.
Yeah, if you go to CC's Pizza, has all these crazy flavors, and they even had chocolate pizza.
I don't think I want a chocolate pizza. That's not gonna work. No. No, I can't even imagine that. Now I'm wondering, they call when they put pineapples on pizza, they call it Hawaiian pizza. So I'm wondering, if you go to Hawaii, is that the only kind of pizza they have? Is pizza with pineapples?
There's spam on it.
Every pizza have pineapples. I've actually never tried that because I just can't imagine. I don't have the imagined thought that pineapples on my pizza. I'm like, pizza's not supposed to be sweet. But everybody says don't knock it until you try it. So I'm knocking on it as for right now until I guess I'm hungry enough to try it.
This is Annie.
Hey, Annie.
Yeah, usually that pineapple pizza, when it's made, it's with like Canadian bacon or the ham. So you get that taste of sweet and salty. It's really actually very good. And to answer your question about in Hawaii, no, not all the pizzas with pineapple. That is one of the pizza. Because I've been in Hawaii, you can have regular pizza also, like the Italian pizza. And somebody talked about chocolate pizza. They do make, they call them dessert pizzas. And they do make it, they wouldn't have the cheese and the sauce. They will have butter and cinnamon and sugar. And they make quite a few dessert
It would just look
pizzas.
like pizza, but it's not the actual
Exactly.
marinara sauce and all that stuff on it. Okay.
Yeah, probably that's the American one that really had nothing to do with Italy, not the Italian.
I know.
I wanted to say when we were in Italy, the pizza there, it's what really on it, and we loved it. It's usually thin crust and the sausage sun-dried tomatoes, and it will have just a little sauce, and they have greens on it. Like different kind of greens, like greens in the when you get green for the salad, like. Different kind of greens, and then fresh mozzarella and olive oil, and I mean that's it. I don't ever remember there was a meat on my pizza when I was in Italy. It was the fresh mozzarella and all the greens and the sauce. So it's completely different, but it was delicious. I don't think you'll get along really good there because you like all the meat.
Now, by you mentioning that reminds me of a story that I'm going to tell, and then we're probably going to close out. When I was in 8th grade, we had, I think it was my English teacher who invited like about 3 or 4 of us to come help him during the fall to rake the leaves out of his yard. And he said, if we do that, he'd treat us to pizza when everything is over with. And so it was one Saturday that, he had come pick us up. There's about three of us. And, we did it. It was a little cool for Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I think it was like about maybe 47 degrees or whatever, which is cool for those of us who are from the Gulf South. And we raked the leaves. Now, he didn't ask us what kind of pizza we wanted. He just told us he was going to get us pizza. And then we wasn't smart enough to tell him what kind of pizza we wanted. We just thought we getting free pizza to do a little work in the yard. And I think it took us like about maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours. And when we got in the house, after we warmed up, we asked him, and then there's going to be a restaurant that we have to go to. So he placed the order, and he told us he got two different kinds. He says he thought it was interesting, and he wanted us to try it. And we're like, oh, no, what did you get? And he told us he got one piece. It was going to be mustard green and what was the other topping? Mustard green and turnip or something crazy. And then the other pizza was going to be chicken liver and sausage. And like, wait a minute, what are you doing? Who goes to a pizza place and order mustard green and all these vegetables and there's no meat? But he said he just wanted us to try it. And of course, we did it. We appreciate it. We tried it. And I thought it was interesting tasting for somebody who was 13 years old. And as a matter of fact, for years, when I eat pizza, I only ate the toppings. I could never eat the crust. Or I just didn't like the crust. Matter of fact, my sisters used to get mad at me because they used to buy these pizzas and they said, I'm just wasting pizza because all I need is the topping and I leave that crust there. Well, it took him to get me to just bite into it and just try it and see if you can chew the whole thing. And ever since that time, I was able to eat the crust, even though that was a very interesting pizza that he had me to try. I can't remember the other time. It was mustard green and something else. I think it was turnip greens and something else kind of pizza. But I was like, okay. But, I still survived it. He ate it. I think I know I ate more than one slice of it. But that chicken liver, I don't think I wanted that anymore. I don't even know what that was. That didn't taste too good.
This is Jen.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to go back a minute when you were talking about the chocolate pizza, about it being a dessert pizza.
Uh-huh.
The crust on that would be like a sugar cookie crust.
Ah.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? All right. Mike, I don't know if you're still here. We're going to end like about 15 minutes early. We will be here, of course, next month for another version of his iBUG's Life. If my mental calendar memory is going to be correct, I believe that date will be October the 24th. I think it's October 24th. That'll be the fourth Thursday. And I know there's a fifth Thursday, but of course that's Halloween. So the topic will be to be determined. Yeah. Have no idea yet. We're going to come up with something. Look for the announcements shortly, probably within the next, because I do have an idea, but I don't want to announce it yet because I need to contact the person who I think was going to do this presentation on this version of his iBUG's Life. So thank you guys for coming in. Thank you for all your suggestions and comments, and thanks for tolerating even my stories of new pizzas. And I even appreciate some of the ideas. I'm definitely going to try this pizza toast. And thank you guys for coming in. See you in October.
Thank you, George.
Thank you.
Thank you.